I am back for another Love After Lockup review. This is Kyria's review, or Kyria review, I should say. I swear I've done like 20 something videos and I'm just now noticing that I'm not introducing my channel. So I need to start doing that. So y'all, welcome to Kyria Review. I am Kyria and I am going to be reviewing this second episode of Love After Lockup, which really was not that interesting for me, but I am going to review it anyway to keep my videos consistent. So let's just get into it. This episode actually had a lot of couple like storylines that I'm really not too excited about, because I really want to continue on the storyline with Stan and Lisa and the storyline with Deontay and Nicole. But since we did not get them this episode, I'm just going to get into it anyway, because I watched it, so I might as well talk about it. So we start off with Brittany's continued storyline. She's going to meet with her friend Cannon, I believe. I can't remember if she said Cannon or Kanan. And they are going to meet with the retired police officer. And Brittany feels like talking to him. She's not that comfortable talking to him because in some ways she feels like a snitch, even though she does need this information that she's getting from this retired police officer because of what's going on with her, the money being missing out of the business account that they all put in on. So Brittany, one of her business partners, Robert, she thinks that he has run off with the money and she thinks that he's on drugs, but she does not know what happened to the money. There was, I believe, either $80,000 or over $80,000 in their account. Her and Marcelino invested $8,000 and now the money is missing and they are trying to figure out what is going on, because they are trying to get this sober house started, and you know, they just need to figure out what they can do from this point on, since they've just now noticed the problem. So we find out that they did not have a contract with the other people that they were going into business with, because in their minds, they're felons. No one's going to take them serious. And honestly, they should have still had a written contract, even though they do have the background of having like the felony on their background. They should still have a contract, because regardless of what their background is, they need to have something in writing for situations like this. Now, Brittany lets us know that they had a verbal agreement as far as putting money into the account for the sober house that they're trying to start. And since the money's missing now, she's just trying to figure out what she needs to do to move forward in case they are not able to retrieve the money, or in case they are not able to catch up with this guy, Robert, who she does really not know that much about. She says something about him working for the Pentagon, and the officer lets her know, like, I used to work for the Pentagon, and if you didn't ask for any proof as to if he's actually worked for the Pentagon, then that was kind of crazy. And, you know, Brittany kind of explains it off as, oh, I'm really trusting, but you can't, I'm not saying you can't be that trusting with people that you're trying to start a business relationship with, because there does need to be some level of trust since you are going into business with them. But in this case, since there's such a large amount of money to them, they definitely needed to have something in writing to cover their tracks. And the officer basically gives her the advice of going forth, having each and every person write down how much money they invested into this account that they have, this joint account, and file a police report just in case something does end up happening. They'll officially have it on the record. He can be charged for embezzlement if he has stolen the money. And you know, if he hasn't, then they're going to have to work out and figure out what is going to happen, because that is a large sum of money. If they literally had to save up for it, or they use their savings to invest in this sober house. So Brittany's really in a rough spot right now. She has not let Marcelino know that the money is missing, and I'm sure once he finds out, he is going to be highly upset because Marcelino is really organized, and I'm sure when him and Brittany discussed going into this business and going into this business with other people and some that she's not as familiar with, that he did have some hesitation and some concerns about what would happen if this happened or what would happen if that happened, because Marcelino is a planner, as we saw in prior episodes when even him and Brittany just met, you know. So hopefully they figure out what's going on with this money so that she can figure out what to do, because she's just trying to help other people that have been released from prison, who do have addiction issues and who do need the support of people when they may not necessarily have the support of their family and other people, which people do need that support when they're coming out of a situation like that, to kind of get back on track and get on the right path. Now we're going to go to Brittany and Ray. Now Brittany and Ray are going to visit his family, and Ray has on this really nice white turtleneck. Like, they are kind of dressed kind of I guess, I don't want to say casual, but they're not like dressed in what am I saying? They're not dressed as far as going somewhere like really elegant or something like that. Like, they're dressed up. It's just not kind of, I guess, over the top. I can't think of the word I'm looking for. But Ray looks really nice in his white turtleneck, and you know, him and Brittany are going to visit his family. And they actually get in there, and the situation with his restitution comes up yet again. And Ray also has an announcement to make to his family that he now has a job. He's working for a warehouse, and he's going to be making $15 an hour, which is a start for him because, you know, he's having to shoulder the responsibility of Brittany wanting to be married, have a family, and kind of move their relationship along, and he's kind of starting from square one. So he's just trying to get everything together. So Brittany still has questions, a lot of questions about this restitution, and she's still trying to figure out whether she's going to have to take on the burden of his debt, since she does want to marry him. And her dad basically lets her know, like, look, you know, the phrase he uses is no risk it, no biscuit. Like, either you're going to be all in or you're going to be all out. And I kind of identify with that because I'm not really a gray area type person. I like to be all in or all out. It's kind of like no middle ground for me, especially when it's something that I'm working on, as far as a relationship or, you know, even me being a godparent or just any goal that you have. I feel like if you have any gray area or you're on the fence, like, you have some chance of talking yourself out of doing what you need to do or not being as serious as you need to be. So being a all in or all out type person kind of feels like it would be, I'm not going to say that's the best way to be because everyone does things their own way, but I can understand why his dad is like, and his other family members are like, look, if you're going to take him on, you need to take him on with everything that comes with him, because you don't know everything you signed up for, but you signed up for being in a relationship with him. So you're going to have to just deal with things as they come. Y'all are going to have to tackle these issues together if this is what you really want. Now, Ray's stepmom, she's like, look, even though he's 30, that's still my child. I look at him that way, and I can understand that, because if you are really completely invested in somebody's life, you are definitely going to want the best for them, and you're going to want them to be with somebody who has their best intentions at heart. I mean, who has good intentions for them and who does treat them the way that you feel like they should be treated as a parent, because I don't feel like any parent wants their child to be in a relationship, or a young child or an adult child to be in a relationship. And I'm not going to say a young child, but, you know, someone who's old enough to be in a relationship. You don't want them to be in a position where they're with someone who has questionable intentions, or who you feel like is not accepting everything that comes with them, especially if you know that your child has a good heart, they're a good person, hard worker, you're going to know their best qualities. So you're not going to understand why that person can't see that for your child initially. And Brittany and Ray still have a lot of like building to do in their relationship. So I can understand where his stepmom is coming from, because she just wants the best for Ray, just as well as Brittany's parents want the best for her. Now, we saw in the last episode that her dad did bless the relationship, and he said, look, I'm going to give this a try. Treat my daughter right. Don't put your hands on her. Don't be a drain on her. And I also understand where Ray's stepmom is coming from, because Brittany's kind of explaining the fact that her mom I don't know if it's her mom and her dad, but she's basically kind of just saying her mom. She knows that her mom wants her to be with someone that's established, that's maybe an engineer, athlete, or a lawyer, or someone that actually has a professional career. She sees her being with someone like that. And Ray's stepmom actually brought up a good point. She said that you could be with one of those people, but it does not mean that you're going to have a good relationship just because that person has a good career. Because because someone has a good career, that could show a lot as far as their book smarts, but it does not have anything to do with their character or how they're going to treat you, or it does not predict that you guys will have a good relationship just because this person has a higher education, or just because this person has a professional career. So I did agree with that. Now, Ray seems to have a more serious demeanor. Like, I know a lot of people are saying like, he seems like he's not that into her, or he's really, I guess, more on the serious side. And I feel like that comes from Ray being the oldest child, because I feel like when you're the oldest child, and I'm speaking from a place of being an oldest child to my siblings that I grew up with, I feel like the older children usually do have a more serious demeanor, because being the firstborn, like, you are more so responsible for looking out for your younger siblings, and you are the first child born to your parents. So they do, I don't know if they have higher expectations for the older child. I can't really say that, depending on what situation you are in with your children, or what type of person your child is. But I honestly think that his serious demeanor just comes from him being the oldest child, and from him having younger siblings, and, more so being more cognizant of having to be able to lead by example for his younger siblings. Because when you're the oldest, you do kind of set the tone for certain things. And I just feel like that really ties into his personality. So that could be the reason why Ray seems more serious on camera, and maybe he does have a fun side. We just haven't gotten to see it yet. So we're going to move on to John and Christiana. Now, for some reason, to me, Christiana looks so unhappy. Like, she looks so preoccupied or worried all the time. Even when they're in the car riding and they're kind of more so in a relaxed space, she just does not look happy. And I know happiness is not 24/7, 7 days a week, but at the same time, on camera, she just looks like something is just constantly bothering her. And honestly, with John, I'm going to need to see an ancestry DNA if I'm really going to believe that he is Native American. Like, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to judge him off of how he looks, because I know sometimes people are like, oh, you don't look Asian, or you don't look like you could be this race or ethnicity, because I know they're two different things. But I just don't know. Like, I just get such a weird vibe from John, because he lives in this world of, him identifying as being Native American. And he could well be, because I'm not saying that all Native Americans have to look a certain way. So I don't know. I just feel real weird about that. Like, is he really Native American, or does he just identify with the Native American lifestyle and beliefs and culture, and that's just something that he basically identifies as? Or, you know, like, would that be offensive to someone that's Native American if he's not Native American and he's just saying that? So I don't know. That just weirds me out, because I don't know. John just, I feel so bad saying that he doesn't look like a Native American, but that's kind of how I feel whenever he comes into the whenever they do their scenes, because, you know, that was something real big on him, having a Native American wedding ceremony and living that type of lifestyle. But I mean, he may as well could be. If he is, I'm sorry if I'm wrong, and I'm not trying to offend anybody. But Christiana is really still preoccupied with the fact that John may or may not have had an affair with her sister, and, you know, he's admitted to flirting with her, so that still bothers her a lot, which I can completely understand. But to me, their segment, it really wasn't a lot going on, because we're kind of revisiting issues that they had initially. So maybe another element will come into their storyline that kind of changes the dynamic, or maybe changes my opinion of the John and Christiana relationship. Now, I'm going to get to Amber and Puppy. Amber has her new place. She has a roommate, Queenie. I really like Queenie's vibe and just the way her thought process is when she's talking to Amber about, like, girl, we have felonies. You want to go and find Puppy. You want to go to this random house. You don't know who these people are. You don't know if she's in a safe space. You don't know if there's somewhere where we should be. So I'm kind of agreeing on the side of Queenie in this particular instance, because she just seems to be making a lot of sense. And I understand that Amber's the type of person that she's like, look, I'm friends with her. I still care about her. So I'm concerned about her well-being. So she, you know, Amber hasn't heard from Puppy in a while, so she wants to go and check on her and make sure she's okay. And she does take time out to go and visit Puppy's mom. And Puppy has been MIA. Her mom hasn't seen her for 2 weeks. And from the things that her mom was explaining, her mom seems like she has health issues. And Puppy was supposed to go with her to a doctor's appointment, and she did not show up for that doctor's appointment. So I'm assuming that her mom did not go. I think she said that in the episode that she didn't end up going to the doctor's appointment, but she's really concerned about her daughter, because she does not want her to backtrack and get on a wrong path or get into the wrong crowd of people that would land her back in jail, because you can tell that Puppy is just stressing her mom out. They really haven't stated whether her mom has other children, if Puppy's an only child or whatever. But I can imagine if Puppy is an only child, that her mom is just in a place of hurt right now, because she was so excited for her to get out. And now that she is out, it seems like she's not making the right decisions, especially if her mom hasn't seen her for 2 weeks. And Puppy's an adult. So she really... we don't know the ins and outs of her mom's relationship, but they seemed pretty close when she was at the house. And I just feel bad for her mom. Who would want their child to just be out in the world and they don't know what's going on? They don't know if they're safe. They don't know if they're back on drugs. They don't know if they're back, you know, to their same, going back to the same issues that they had initially before they got locked up. So I just feel bad for her mom. I really hope that for her mom's and her mom's health's sake, that Puppy is not back to her old ways. Amber, she realized after she got released that she does not want to go back. She is on the straight and narrow. I mean, she has her place, she's working, but she really just wants to be a friend to Puppy at this point, because I believe Queenie mentioned that Amber did go on a date with the guy that we saw from the last episode. And so they're still seeing each other, and they may be continuing a relationship, but we just don't know that at this point, because they have not dived deeper into that. But at this point in time, they are looking for Puppy, and Amber is contemplating on going to the house where Puppy's supposed to be. And I mean, Quinny's like, look, this place looks, they get to the house. I don't know how Amber finds out where she is, but they ended up getting to the house, and Quinny's like, look, this place looks run down. It's stuff all over the yard. It just does not look like a place where we need to be. And they end this scene with Amber going to the house. And I mean, this is some random house. She don't know who lives there, who Puppy may or may not be there with. And they end the scene with her showing up at the door. She's knocking on the door, and she wants to check on Puppy and kind of, I guess, do a wellness check to make sure that Puppy is not in any crazy situation. And my thing is, if she does find out that Puppy is in a bad situation, I honestly don't think that there's much that Amber's going to be able to do about it, because if Puppy does not want to do right and she does not want to get on the right path, then Amber's not going to be able to help her until she gets to a space where she wants to help herself, because people have to be in that space in order for you to help them, especially if they're battling some sort of addiction. They have to be in a headspace where they want to do better and they want better, or they want a different life. So I just hope that Amber does not stress herself out trying to make Puppy be something that she's not ready to be, because then it's going to turn into another Brittany and her mom situation where she's trying to make someone that has an addiction clean up their lives when they're just not at the point in their lives where they want that, or they see a reason to clean up or whatever. So hopefully we will see, you know, where this goes and see Amber kind of progress instead of kind of falling behind because she's so worried about Puppy, even though they're literally on two different paths in life right now. Okay. And the last couple that I want to get to is, what's his name? Shawn and Sarah. So Shawn, when they open the scene with Shawn, he is preparing for Sarah to get out of prison and be released. I thought at first that he said that he saw her in person one time, but then he goes to say that he's never seen her, and she's been locked up for 6 years. So he's preparing an alcoholic drink for her because they plan on kind of getting a little tipsy and then going and having some intimate private time. And he's looking forward to that. So he's making her a smoothie, and it actually looks really good. He has dragon fruit, strawberries, like all kind of fresh fruit in there. And I don't know what kind of liquor he put in there, but he has like flowers for her. And he kind of just packs a nice little, like pretty much like a welcome home bag. He did not go overboard like Deontay did with Nicole. So it seems like he's being more mindful of how he's approaching the situation with Sarah, because he doesn't want it to go the way that his situation went with Destiny the last time that we saw them. And he packs everything up and he goes to pick her up from the prison. He goes and waits outside, and she ends up being released. And when we see her, Sarah actually gives a whole different vibe than Destiny. She seems like she's much sweeter. She seems like she's more grounded and maybe more compatible with Shawn, and she is like extremely attracted to him because she said he's her type. He has the dark eyes, dark hair. But while they're in the car, she's talking on the phone with somebody, and then she lets us know, like, look, there's something that I didn't share with Shawn. So I'm like, girl, we don't know what secret that she could have, because she honestly looks so sweet. And maybe it's because she's so petite. I don't know. I don't want that to kind of cloud my judgment, but I'm hoping that this situation goes better with Shawn and her so that he can meet somebody that has good intentions, that's not going to screw him over, and that could kind of facilitate in him having a better relationship with his daughter and his kid's mom. His kid's mom name is Kelly. So I'm hoping that their new relationship can bring everybody together instead of tearing them apart. Like, because it seems like Shawn is kind of more so on the selfish side, or maybe he's just lonely. I do not know why he's continuing to go the same route, but maybe the second time is going to be the charm for him. We will not be able to know until later in the season, but for right now, I feel like a tad bit more hopeful for their relationship than I was with the relationship that he had with Destiny. But this relationship, this episode was okay. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, I give this a thumbs up, or oh my gosh, this episode was just horrible. It was just like a weird, like kind of flatline second episode. And we also didn't get Shane and a continuation for Shane and Lacey's story this episode. But next week they did show a preview of Deontay coming into the picture, and him actually we're actually starting to see more of his storyline. So I'm really excited for that. And if you guys made it this far in this video, please give my video a thumbs up, share this video, subscribe. But this was this week's episode of Love After Lockup. Like, to me, not much happened in this episode. I really feel like I didn't get to know more about anything. It was just kind of like, okay, we're going to move it along a little bit and then we'll stop here. So I don't feel like I got really more information about any of the couples that were on this particular episode besides maybe like Shawn and Sarah. But this episode was kind of like meh to me. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Did you like this episode? Did you feel like they could have given us more in this episode? I honestly feel like they could have given us a little more in this episode. So hopefully this season is not slow, like them kind of just like tiptoeing through each and every storyline. And actually, I'm not saying like rush through it, but I don't know, like this episode makes me feel like this season is not going to be as exciting as last season with Stan and Lisa and Deontay and those new couples. So hopefully next week's episode is better. I mean, I don't know. This episode was just okay. But thank you guys for watching Curio Review. And I am still on my way up from 18 subscribers that I have now to 25. So if you guys could please subscribe to my channel and help me get to my next goal of having 25 subscribers. I appreciate everybody that watched this review, and you guys have a good night. I will see y'all next week for the next episode of Life After Lockup / Love After Lockup. Good night. Bye, y'all.